And a very happy Tuesday to you at 12:08 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show, broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. Mr. Randy Wangs at the sports desk across the glass.
John, we have breaking LA City Council news. For the first time in what seems like forever, a member of the LA City Council correctly recited the Pledge of Allegiance. And the honor goes to Tracy Park.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Park, would you be willing to lead us, please, in today's flag salute?
Yes, Council President. Please rise, hand over your hearts. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That wasn't hard.
Is that the first time this term it's been recited correctly?
Well, we all remember what happened last week with brand new city councilwoman Imelda Padilla, who represents my neighborhood.
Mr. President, today's Tuesday. It's time for the flag salute.
Wonderful. If everyone could please rise for the flag salute. Councilwoman Padilla, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic for
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice
and justice for all. Great, thank you.
Can we look up where she was educated?
Imelda Padilla?
Yeah.
I will see what is out there. Imelda Padilla.
Because whatever school gave that woman a degree needs to lose their accreditation.
Oh, she was raised in Sun Valley. Poor girl. From John H. Francis Polytechnic High School. My dad went to that high school.
Not Sun Valley, Idaho, I can see.
She got a bachelor's from UC Berkeley and then got a master's at CSUN.
You got to be kidding me.
And then she was a field deputy for Nuri Martinez.
Why are people with us?
Those are two pretty respected institutions.
In 2016, she ran for the LAUSD Board of Education and failed. And then in 2022, she ran to replace Nuri and eked out a win because 10% of the population paid attention.
How did she pass Berkeley? Is her degree in government?
It doesn't say what her degrees are in. It just says that she has them.
Okay. Maybe it's community organizing.
Can you get a degree in that?
The fake doctor did. That's what her bachelor's degree's in from UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Now, of course, John, we can't talk about the Pledge of Allegiance without giving our allegiance to the gold standard of pledges.
Mr. Kevin De Leon.
Madam President, today is Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
Mr. De Leon, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning?
Thank you very much, Madam President. It'd be an honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Indivisible. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I just noticed this. You can hear someone in the background feeding him the words.
That's his aide.
And he's ignoring them and failing spectacularly because he's trying to recall it from his own pea brain.
That's Kevin De Leon.
It sounded like that incident where Dianne Feinstein was asked to vote in a committee hearing, and instead of voting, she just gave a speech. And you could hear in the background her aide saying, no, just say yes. Just say yes. Say yes. 800-222-KABC is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, the big Republican presidential debate is going to be what, tomorrow, Randy?
That's right, and we're airing it right here on this station at 6 o'clock.
That's right. And it's going to be a Republican debate for all of those who qualified, with the exception of Donald Trump. Donald Trump said he is not going to participate in the debates, and if I were up 50 points, I probably wouldn't either. It may be a contested primary, but it's not a competitive primary.
No.
He's up by 50 points, so he's not going to debate the rest of them. And Biden's up by, 60 points over Robert F. Kennedy Jr., so he's not going to debate them either.
What about Marianne?
Well, she's below Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and her crystals.
But Biden and a couple of kooks.
I've seen people complaining about this, right and left. Democrats complaining that Biden's not going to debate and give them a real primary. Republicans complaining that Trump is not going to debate and give them a real primary. And I'm going to go back to a point I made yesterday when we were talking about the failures of government in California. You get the government you deserve. The voters have complete control over all of this. And if you decided to vote for someone other than Biden or Trump and the numbers got closer, they would have to debate. You force their hand. You make it so they have to go out and compete for your vote. But if they're winning in a walk and a debate is just nothing but liability for them, you would have to lose your license. You would have to lose your mind if you're their strategist to tell them to go participate in one of these things.
Even at the narcissism level that all politicians have, that's an extraordinarily level of narcissism to think, I got to be on that stage when you're up 50, 60 points.
Yes, there's no reason to. And if you don't believe me, look at all of these politicians all around you who have safe districts. You think Maxine Waters is going to go out and debate Omar Navarro when she runs for re-election?
She wins by 60 points every time.
Never going to happen. Never, ever, never, ever, never going to happen. The only reason that Adam Schiff debated Maybe a Girl last time around was because he didn't want the blowback when Maybe a Girl said that he wouldn't debate her because she may be a girl.
I'm supporting Maybe for his seat in this next election.
Is Maybe running again?
I think Maybe is running again.
Ooh.
Maybe she is.
Maybe not.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
But if you want to see these people on the debate stage, you have to change the way you vote. You have to change the way you talk to these pollsters when they call you. And I've seen a lot of crowing about this on social media. Donald Trump should absolutely be forced to debate. No, he's not, doesn't have to do anything. When you're up 50 points, you could just go on vacation. Hell, Biden stayed in the basement the last time.
Anybody that's crowing about that, I'd like to ask them, so how much money have you given Asa Hutchinson?
And then Larry Elder's involved in a controversy right now.
He's suing the RNC.
Because you have to have, 40,000 individual donors, correct?
Yes, and you have to appear in, I think, 3 different approved polls.
Okay. And so they're saying he doesn't meet the qualifications because one of the polls he's citing is Rasmussen, and they don't regard those polls as legitimate. Yet they use the Rasmussen polls on the news all the time.
They try to keep Larry out of this debate. It's like Shirley Weber all over again.
They're going to let that governor from North Dakota that no one's ever heard of appear on that stage, but not Larry Elder. And Larry is not happy about it, as you can imagine, and he posted a video on social media.
This was taped on his phone while at LAX, I guess waiting for a plane to go to Milwaukee, although what's the point?
As you can see, I'm at LAX en route to Milwaukee. I was just informed by the RNC that I'm not qualified for the debate. Why? Even though I exceeded the 40,000 individual donations required.
If you get a little closer to the camera, Larry, that would help us out a lot.
Well, it's LAX, so you got to make sure you're close enough to drown out the Hare Krishnas.
Even though I signed the pledge to support the eventual nominee, Even though I submitted 3 polls where I was at least at 1%, I was informed that one of the polls is not eligible. It's the Rasmussen poll. Even though it was the most accurate poll in predicting that Donald Trump would win in 2016, they say it is affiliated with Donald Trump and therefore it is not eligible. And I said to Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman of the RNC, it's not affiliated with me. She said any poll affiliated with any candidate is not eligible. And no one told me that until just now. So we're filing an emergency injunction to get me up there. This is absolutely BS. One of the candidates, by the way, offered...
Boy, notice how clean he keeps it on his Instagram feed.
Unlike when he appears on this show.
One of the candidates, by the way, offered a $20 gift certificate for a $1 donation. That apparently is okay. Another one offered a free, air quotes, country western concert for a $1 donation. That apparently is okay. Another one offered a commission to prospective donors to get other prospective donors. That apparently is okay. But I did it the old-fashioned way, asking people to support me by going to LarryElder.com, and that is not okay. And now all of a sudden, I'm not eligible. It is designed, in my opinion, to make sure that Ron DeSantis is the nominee, anybody other than Trump. This is BS. I will see you in Milwaukee. Out.
There you go.
Larry is not happy with Ronna McDaniel.
Is anybody happy with Ronna McDaniel?
Here's what I don't understand. If they're saying the Rasmussen poll is no good because it has bad methodology and it's not accurate, okay, you can make that argument. If you could prove that that's true, then I'll accept it. If they did something wrong, let's say the margin of error is 7.5% or something along those lines that made the poll junk.
So wait, if the margin of error is 7.5% and you only get 1%, does that mean it's possible you have negative percent?
It's possible, but that's not what they're alleging. They're saying that the poll came from the Trump campaign, was commissioned, I guess paid for by the Trump campaign. Okay, that's not Larry Elder. I get it if you produce the poll that makes you eligible, not using that poll. But if the poll was conducted by a legitimate pollster and paid for by someone other than you, I don't understand why you wouldn't use that poll. I mean, this is like Pete Rose. Pete Rose is kept out of the Hall of Fame because he bet on baseball. Okay, if you're betting on sports or if you're betting on games that you're not participating in, who cares? I don't even care if you bet on yourself. If you're betting on the other team, then I got a problem with that. But they're using this as the excuse to keep Larry off the stage.
Got to make room for that Doug Burcham.
Now, they tried to keep Larry off the ballot when he ran for governor here in California because you had to produce all kinds of financial documents to the Secretary of State. And apparently you needed to produce 2 or 3 copies of them. He produced a complete copy of all of the documents that they required. And then I guess on the second copy or the third copy, a couple of the pages were missing. But they had all of the pages in the original one. It was an administrative error, but they still had all the information that they needed and that was required by law. And she said, nope, sorry about that. We're not going to let you on the ballot, which is, of course, what you do if you're an a-hole. Why not call and say, hey, listen, we have the complete copy in the first copy, but there's something wrong with the second or the third ones. There's missing pages. Can you please provide that? Then you make another photocopy, you send it over, you're good to go. But they wanted to use it as a trap to keep him off the ballot.
They ended up giving him so much more attention than he was ever going to get.
Absolutely, because they were playing dirty pool. And to my eye, the RNC is playing dirty pool with Larry here. First of all, I don't know if anyone's even going to watch this debate, because if there's one candidate that's 50 points ahead and they're not there, this ain't the showroom. This is the lounge.
I mean, the only attraction is to see 8 guys shiv Ron DeSantis constantly.
Yeah, and Chris Christie is going to go off on Trump. That's the only thing that anyone in the media is going to pay attention to. Chris Christie going off on Trump and the rest of them going off on DeSantis. But I don't even know if they'll go off on DeSantis because DeSantis is polling so low.
What are they going to talk about for 2 hours?
I don't know. I'm supposed to go on CNN at midnight and talk about it, and I don't even know what to expect. How do you fill 2 hours?
Well, how many Chris Christie fat jokes do you know?
Well, I could go on for 2 hours. Maybe DeSantis is going to entertain us with riddles. I don't know.
That Vivek Ramaswamy is going to do push-ups shirtless.
Didn't he put out a video of himself playing tennis shirtless?
That's his debate prep.
Oh, yes. He's ready for this. It's so stupid that they're keeping him off that stage. And again, it's going to be the same thing as what happened here with the recall election. It's going to create so much more noise than they otherwise would by just letting him on the stage.
It's already on Mediaite. It's already blowing up. Larry Elder plans to sue the RNC because they rejected his poll and they're blocking him from the debate. It's the first time I've seen Larry Elder on Mediaite in a year.
And you know what? If he wins that lawsuit, you know how bad that's going to look for the RNC? What a great way to start the campaign. Losing a lawsuit. If you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if you missed yesterday's edition of the show, which included an interview with Kevin Kiley, who is proposing legislation that would make it illegal for the fake doctor to shut off her comments on social media and attack people like me, try to get me kicked off of Twitter. Well, Randy, that's easy to do.
Yeah. That's right. You can go to KABC.com, click on podcasts. You go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe, download all the episodes. You can now search for The John Phillips Show on YouTube, which I find really funny because when I search for things like George Gascon on YouTube, I see this show and a podcast from last week called George Gascon Gets Extra Bitchy with Reporters. So that's always fun. But no matter what, you can download as many hours as the show that you want, in case you're one of those people that after 3 hours says, well, that just wasn't enough content.
But it just didn't feel big enough.
So one of the things that's gone on around Southern California for some time now is that politicians are absolutely furious that the news media is showing you videos of smash and grabs, of crimes being committed, grandmothers being dragged, people being pushed in front of subways, people being punched for no reason. Violent crime out of control. And they hate the fact that you're seeing it because you no longer believe them. You believe your lying eyes.
Everything is on video and everything is detailed very graphically. Even Whoopi's talking about it.
Rising crime in California.
And it makes them look stupid when they run around saying crime is not going up, crime is going down. And if you were smart enough to understand statistics, you would be aware of that. So now, instead of trying to do something about reducing the amount of crime in California, what they want to do is they want to reduce your ability to see crime occurring. Already, if the government owns the video, if it's a security camera, if it's a video taken by an employee of a public agency, they will not release the video to the public. The Bay Area Rapid Transit, BART, they made headlines some years ago when they said that they would flatly refuse to show videos of beatings on their trains if they own the video because they said that the media would use it to sensationalize it for ratings and that it would lead to racial stereotypes. So they will not release the video if they have it in their possession. But since everyone now has the ability to record everything with their cell phone, they no longer control the dissemination of that information. And it drives them absolutely crazy.
I mean, heck, remember earlier this year with our own LA Metro and Fernando Dutra wanting to flood the news with good stories to drown out all of the drug overdoses?
I think we need to flood the market with some positive news whenever we get it. because I guarantee it goes the other way whenever we get the bad news. So I think it's only fair that we spread the news.
That's fair.
And that was at the same meeting when they said that they were striving for the appearance of safety. Not actual safety, the appearance of safety. This is all smoke and mirrors. So, because the news media, the local news media in particular, have been showing you these videos on a continuous loop, what the politicians are now trying to do is they're going after the news media and they're trying to bully the news media into stop showing you those videos.
It's somehow the media's fault that they're reporting on crimes that are happening in the market that they cover. And when government's not working for them, people are calling the news media to do something about it. Like the Chatsworth Skid Row homeless encampment that didn't get cleaned up till the cameras from Channel 7 and Channel 11 were there on a daily basis.
You have to embarrass them so they do their job. If you don't embarrass them, they won't do your job or their job. They'll just continue to ignore you. And for those of you who've been calling your councilman, calling your supervisor, calling whoever, and you get absolutely nowhere, you know what I'm talking about.
That's when you call the tip line at your local news channel.
Absolutely.
Or send us an email.
So we started out with George Gascon going after the news media when they were blaming him for crime being out of control. Let's hear that.
What do you say to the person who points a finger at you, saying that there are people in this community who believe they can get away with serious crime in LA County and not be held accountable?
Well, I would ask you the question, what would you tell him when you just heard me speaking right now? Because I think you have a responsibility also for addressing it, right? So I would hope that you do so.
And then yesterday, L.A. Mayor Karen Bass did it.
However, when you have a spectacular type crime happen like this, it does create a sense of fear. But one of the reasons it does is because it's exploited by the press, and especially the conservative press that wants to paint Los Angeles and many other Democratic-run cities as though we are in a crisis of crime, and that is not the case.
And most recently, it was current Assemblywoman and candidate for U.S. Congress running to replace Adam Schiff in the Burbank, West Hollywood area is Assemblywoman Laura Friedman, who went on Mike Bonin's podcast and did the same thing.
We also need to stop scaring the heck out of people. You know, we've got people in this country that drive around with guns and walk around with guns because they've been told that there are people that are going to kill them every step of the way. Mm-hmm. You know, we have a media that stokes the fear people have against each other and against their neighbors, and we need to hold them more accountable for stoking that kind of fear.
Okay. Accountability. There's that word again. When they talk about accountability for criminals, what they mean is that they cite you and release you. No bail. When they talk about accountability in that context, she's talking about legislation. She's talking about restricting the news media's ability to show you the images of crimes going on in your community.
Doesn't that flatly violate freedom of the press in the First Amendment?
Of course it does. But we live in North Korea, so what are we supposed to do?
You know, we have a media that stokes the fear people have against each other and against their neighbors, and we need to hold them more accountable for stoking that kind of fear.
What she means by that, I'm telling you, this is not Alex Jones territory here. What they're going to do is they're going to try to make it illegal for the news media to show you those videos. And they'll come up with some excuse. They'll say it's minors primarily, and you're showing the images of underagers committing crimes, and that will follow them for the rest of their life. So you can't do it. And because you don't see their driver's licenses as they're robbing the stores or as they're dragging the grandmothers, what news agencies would do is just not run it because you can't verify the age of the person involved. So that would be a backdoor way to prevent you from seeing those videos. They'll also either imply or outright say that showing you those videos is racist, which is what Bart said when they announced that they wouldn't be releasing any videos they own. And then if you stop seeing those videos on the news, you'll still understand that you live in a place that's fundamentally not safe, but fewer people will understand what we're all living with on a day-to-day basis. Because in Southern California, traffic is so awful and our region is so big, most people just stay in their own individual neighborhood. If you live in North Hollywood, you probably don't spend a lot of time in Venice. And if you live in Venice, you probably don't spend a lot of time in San Pedro. So you're aware of what's going on at your Ralph's. You're aware of what's going on at your 7-Eleven. You're aware of what's going on at your dry cleaner, but you may not know what's going on across town. You learn about it from the news media. You see it on television, you hear about it on the radio, you read it, not in the LA Times, but in the Southern California News Group papers. They cover crime. What they want is they want the entire news media in Los Angeles to be like the LA Times, where they just ignore it. They don't tell you about it. They don't report on it. It's as if none of this ever happened.
And they take the politician's word as gospel.
That's right. All of these fools who don't know the Pledge of Allegiance, the sound we just played you earlier this hour, the LA Times has endorsed every single one of them and told you how wonderful they are, how intelligent they are, how great of a grasp of understanding public policy they have. That's the world that the LA Times lives in. And that's the only world that they want you to have access to. The problem for them is that because we all have the ability to record things with our phone and they have no control over social media, they're not going to be successful. They're just not. They're either going to lose in court or people will just see it on a different platform. They'll see it on Twitter. They'll see it on Facebook. They'll see it on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. It's like when our worthless union, Randy, was trying to make it illegal for IMDb to post the age of an actor. They said that led to age discrimination, and certain actors wouldn't get cast for certain roles if people knew their actual age. Casting directors specifically. Well, you can't ban IMDb from putting someone's age in their profile. You can't ban newspapers from listing someone's age in a news story. I guess you could go after them if they're putting out inaccurate information, but usually if they're putting out inaccurate information, it's because the actor is lying about their age. And they're just taking the actor's word for it.
Well, they're 60, but you got to understand their fillers are only 10.
But the union eventually lost on that. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You just can't. In the old days, maybe you could put these restrictions on the books and you'd have an impact. But I just think there are too many outlets. There are no longer one big city newspaper and 3 networks. You can't control information. And even if you wanted to make it illegal to show these videos in California, these social media platforms are international. They're global. It's not illegal to post it in Arizona.
They're not going to be able to shut down street people of Los Angeles, I'll tell you that much.
No, but this is what they're going to do. This is what's coming. You just watch. And she loves to restrict everything. In fact, I think she's the one that's going after golf courses. She doesn't want grass in public places because it uses too much water. And she represents Glendale, by the way, where everyone lives in a single-family home and wants a yard with grass.
You got to support maybe a girl in this election, or Laura Friedman will be the next Adam Schiff.